But there are always a few who refuse, no matter what, to lie. And one of those is Riley Gaines. So last year, Riley Gaines was a collegiate swimmer at the University of Kentucky. During an NCAA championship, she and her teammates were forced to compete against a man called William Thomas. Now, there's been a lot of news coverage of William Thomas, but here's the truth. Thomas had been a male swimmer at the University of Pennsylvania, and he had a lackluster swimming career, so he came up with a plan. He decided to give himself a female name. And soon, he started winning women's swimming competitions. So what do you call that? Well, you call it cheating. That's cheating. And Thomas's cheating was not a secret. It was obvious to everybody. But only Riley Gaines was brave enough to say something about it. She came on our show last July.
That night, we watched Leah Thomas win a national title and blow all the other females completely out of the water. And that next day, we came back and the mood had shifted to where people were mad. The girls, there were tears. These poor 9th and 17th place finishers who missed out on being named an All-American. There's extreme discomfort in the locker room. There's, kind of these grumbles of...
Is he wandering around the women's locker room?
Yeah. And that's not something, we were forewarned about, which I don't think is right in any means. Changing in a locker room with someone who has different parts.
So you can probably tell just from that clip that Riley Gaines is not an ideologue. She's not a political activist. She was a college swimmer and assumed that she would be just that, a college swimmer. But she was forced into a place where she had no choice but to tell the truth. She was not going to violate her own conscience. And the story she told was almost hard to believe in a supposedly rational country, but it was real. And because nobody else had the courage to stop this trend before it accelerated, similar things began to happen all over American sports, and with predictable results. In November, the National Hockey League sponsored an all-trans draft tournament. A male cross-dresser was allowed to compete against women. What do you think happened? Well, during the game, the man lightly checked a woman into the boards and gave her a concussion. Yeah, because he's a man, she's a woman. In October, a North Carolina high school volleyball player suffered a significant head injury after another man dressed as a woman spiked a ball at her head. You can watch that on YouTube. It's on video. It's awful. But nobody should be surprised that it happened. 9 years ago, a man called Fallon Fox declared himself a woman and competed in a mixed martial arts fight against a competitor called Tamika Brents, who was a woman. In a total of 36 seconds on the mat, Fox fractured the bones in Tamika Brents' face and won the fight. As Tamika Brents later put it, quote, "I've never felt so overpowered in my life, and I'm an abnormally strong female." Well, yeah, because even an abnormally strong female, which she is no match for most biological men. Everybody knows that. It is measurable. We don't need to guess. But almost nobody at this point, at this deeply contemptible point of cowardice in the West, almost nobody will say that because they're afraid. But Riley Gaines will say that because she's not afraid. So last night, Gaines went to San Francisco State University to talk about her experiences in NCAA swimming. And Riley Gaines is not a hater. She is a measured, decent person who believes in logic and reason and finding common ground with people who disagree with her. She does not think she is God. But that fact, that she does not believe she's God, makes her a terrifying threat to the zealots who do believe they're God. And so at San Francisco State last night, the zealots attacked her. A mob surrounded Riley Gaines and prevented her from moving through the hallways. At one point, the thugs said they wouldn't let her pass unless she paid the money. During the chaos, a man dressed as a woman punched her several times. The mob howled with rage, screaming threats and obscenities. We're not overstating. Here's what it looked like.
It's just me. I'm good. I'm coming. You got me. I'm good. I'm coming. I'm good. I'm good. Trust me. I'm good. Go ahead.
That's the most dangerous extremist group in the United States. There's no mistaking it. Riley Gaines, once again, is not an ideologue or a demagogue. She's not out to hurt anybody. She is a college swimmer who was cheated against and doesn't think that's fair. And in the face of that, people threaten her life and scream transparently nonsensical things like trans women are women. Trans women are not women. Women are women and men are men. And that's unalterable. And if you think otherwise, you are delusional. And they are delusional and therefore dangerous. Last night, Riley Gaines was silenced and assaulted at San Francisco State. Her most basic civil rights were stolen by a violent mob. The thing we're supposed to be on the lookout for, well, there it is. If there is such a thing as a hate crime, you just saw it. And yet the Biden administration and its thoroughly corrupt Department of Justice won't acknowledge that any of that happened because they endorse it happening. Riley Gaines is one of the bravest people we know, and we're grateful to have her join us tonight. Riley Gaines, thank you so much for coming on. Was that as horrifying as it looked?
I mean, it was terrifying for me. The police did not inform me of any sort of action plan. Turning Point USA invited me to the campus. I delivered a very civil and respectful speech where I had great dialogue with even protesters who were participating in a sit-in. All of a sudden, after my speech, the room was stormed. The lights were turned off, and I was rushed with no one there to escort me to a safe place. I was punched. I was hit multiple times. I was shoved until finally we exited the room. But we could not leave because the protesters flooded the halls, and so I was pushed into a classroom along that hallway where I was barricaded in for 3 hours.
3 hours? Why didn't someone with a gun come and bring you to safety?
Because they were terrified. They were scared to put their hands on these people because they know what these people are capable of. These people yelled obscene, violent, vulgar things to both myself and the officers, I could tell, didn't feel comfortable putting them in a position that would mean they do their job, which is a really scary, chilling thought.
This is the most dangerous extremist movement in the United States right now. It's getting bigger, not smaller. It's gaining steam, not losing it. The White House has endorsed it. I mean, what does this mean for you? And I just can't say it again since I happen to know you. You are an inherently moderate person who means harm to no one. But are you worried about your safety going forward?
You know, I am worried about my safety. I have to be now. When we have people who are willing to do this, and we know why they're willing to do this, it's because they don't have reason, they don't have logic, they don't have science, they don't have common sense on their side. That's on my side. And so they protrude by violence, whether it's physical or verbal violence. But what this means for me, this does not deter me. This assures me that I am doing the right thing. This will not silence me when they want me to be silenced. It just means I need to speak louder.
Really quick, did anyone in the state of California in authority, any political figure, for example, defend you?
No, not the dean of students, not the campus police. I will say the city of San Francisco police that stepped in, they did a phenomenal job in escorting 3 hours later. But I will be pursuing legal action. I will ensure that the people who physically assaulted me, the people who put me in that position, they will face repercussions.
Yeah. I mean, if we can't identify that as evil, then we've really lost the thread. Riley Gaines, I'm glad you're still here, and
Absolutely.
Godspeed. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you so much.